All right. Good evening. I'm Paul Gilmore. This is the regular monthly meeting of the Simsbury Water Pollution Control Authority. It's Thursday, March 9th, 2023. It is now 7:04 p.m. And so we have a number of things on the agenda. And I'm sure all of you are here for item number 2. So you're right up on deck after the safety brief. So you have to bear with me while I give a safety brief. So you came in here, there are exit signs. So in the event that we lose power or what have you, the exit signs will still remain illuminated, just like they are at the movie theater. And a word of caution, the big cylindrical things outside that look like they have water in them, they're not swimming pools. Okay. So we're ready to go. That's our safety brief in a nutshell. So item number 2 is a public hearing for Pine Hill Homeowners Association sewer upgrade. And I know that you all have seen information and have deliberated about things and have gotten back to us. And I think, Tony, are you going to make a brief presentation, or who's doing what here?
Yes, we have one.
Yeah, we have. I think we're going to tag team it.
You are. Divide.
I don't know.
and
Actually,
conquer.
I think the group here probably has seen this presentation and knows more about it than just about any group we've ever had.
And we probably actually have to read the legal notice first before opening this public hearing. So legal notice, Town of Simsbury Water Pollution Control Authority. The Simsbury Water Pollution Control Authority will hold a public hearing on Thursday, March 9th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the conference room at the Simsbury Water Pollution Control Facility, right here, 36 Drake Hill Road, Simsbury, Connecticut. The purpose of this hearing is to review a proposal and possibly take action for upgrading the sanitary sewers which serve 1-12 Middle Lane, 1-12 Woods Lane, 1-7 and 9 and 11 Stebbins Brook Lane, 1 and 3 South Road, 33, 35, 37, and 39 Pine Hill Drive, and 553 Hot Meadow Street, Simsbury, Connecticut. All interested property owners shall have the opportunity to appear and be heard. We mean that within reason. Water Pollution Control Authority, Paul and Gilmore, Chairman. Now we need to have formally a motion to.
This is Jay Sheehan from the commission. I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor of opening the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
The public hearing is open. Okay, and underway.
Do you have our beautiful PowerPoint there, Tony?
Yeah, trying to.
Well, break the question. And we're done. Wow. I told you guys were good. So we'll just hit the basics. You guys know this very well while Tony gets this up and running. The WPCA is a utility. This is all funded by user fees, not by tax dollars. Our whole purpose here is to take everybody's waste in town, clean it up, put it out into the Farmington River. Important thing to know, the water that we put into the river is cleaner than river water itself. So as much as some people think, and the plant is kind of showing in an aerial view behind you that it's a terrible, disgusting thing, poor Tony is down here all day with the rest of his staff, making sure that the environment is protected. You're in a unique situation because you have sanitary sewers. You pay annual fee to the WPCA, but unlike most other customers, you own the pipes in the street. Most of our customers own their lateral, and that ends their responsibility. Because the current system in your neighborhood does not meet modern standards, we can't take over the maintenance. So we've gone through, we've done survey, we have a design in place to make them modern sanitary sewers that will last in the neighborhood of 50 to 100 years. When we do this, we are going to have to tear up your streets. So we have the ability to pave your streets curb to curb, which is something that you will probably have to do anyways, even if you didn't do this project in the next 5 to 10 years. My day job as Public Works Director includes more than just WPCA. I oversee the roads. The town gets our asphalt when we do paving through the state contract. We get asphalt cheaper than a regular contractor could get it. So I know if you would ask Maglieri or Simscroft or any of the other contractors in the area to pave your roads, they can't get the asphalt for the same low price we can because we're getting volume discounts. And we spend better part of $1 million a year in Simsbury alone, and we also have the buying power of the entire state of Connecticut. So we get a good price on it. Prices have gone up in the last year. Hopefully they'll start coming back down again this fall. Once we start this project, we have to finish this project. You can't be half sewered or half not sewered. So the intent would be to go in, we're going to put down new pipes, we're going to get rid of the old pipes. In some cases, the old pipes might be abandoned in place. We are going to go as near as is reasonably possible to each of your homes in terms of replacing the lateral. If we're in the main line and we're looking up and we're seeing that you have stone walls and garden and ornamental plantings, it's going to be very difficult for us to work through or very difficult for us to put back in place, we're going to make a judgment as to what is the condition of that lateral. We'll be in a hole looking at the lateral right there, being able to tell, is this a good quality sound pipe? Is it filled with roots? What is the anticipated life expectancy of that pipe? If it's bad, we're going to push forward until we get to a point where it's good quality pipe to make a connection. If it is good, if it was PVC, we're not going to tear up any farther than is reasonably necessary. Okay. All of the roads are going to get paved. We're not doing driveways. We're not doing common areas. It's a little bit of a stretch in terms of what the core mission of the WPCA is, but we're also being very practical and reasonable, trying to find a way to accommodate all of you. Hey, how are you?
Fine, thanks. Excuse me.
Did I miss anything in our presentation?
No, that was the earlier stuff was just about how we run our stuff, how we run everything. And, you know, we work with Granby and Avon as well. So.
Okay. And I think we had just a quick schematic of where we're planning.
This is up there. This is the existing conditions right now. As we know it, there's no real maps for the area. This is just based off of historical knowledge from the operators here and from Rob Koff and Suburban Sanitation and the other plumber that you guys have now. As you can probably see on Stevensbrook Lane, the line is actually the lowest part there actually runs probably about 10 feet off the houses, I believe. And there's a manhole right in the front yards of most of those. Middle Lane is the only street that's actually, I believe, has a sewers actually in the street a little bit. And then they're behind the homes on the other section. And so again, we'll take that and we'll put those inside in the street. We don't want obviously having anything running behind the homes. And I believe from what I understand, and some of you guys may know, that there used to be a road or a driveway that went behind the houses, and that's why the sewers were back there. So, but our plan is to go in and put like Tom said, we're gonna bring everything up to town code. Everything's gonna be 6-inch PVC pipe. The manholes are all gonna be precast manholes. They're not gonna be brick manholes. We're eliminating groundwater infiltration in the system. As Tom said, we will take over the main line in the street. You guys, after the construction is done and everything's replaced as best we can, you guys will own from your house to the street, into the main line in the street. So everything from your house to the main line in the street will be your responsibility. So that's why we want to give you access, like Tom said, construction with a good pipe. We don't want to connect to something bad. We want to make sure it's good as feasibly possible, or it's going to last at least 20 years. You know, we want something to last. We don't want to put in something that's, you know, if we're going to connect to a pipe, we don't want to give you undue costs in 5 years. Say, oh, you know, you got to dig your pipe up. Now that last 10 feet that we didn't do, we want to make sure.
I have a question on that, Tom. And you said something about if it's difficult to get to pipe, then you have to make a decision. You said something about a wall or flowers or whatever, but you will go ahead most likely and complete the job rather than not do it. Right?
So if the question is, if we came across a lateral,
Yes.
and it was in good condition. It was PVC, it was plastic pipe. And as we look into it, there's a wall or some other difficult areas. If we dig through, it's going to be not just difficult. Don't think of the word difficult, because those pieces of equipment will do whatever needs to get done. Think expensive. We're going to be judicious with the money, because every dollar we spent is going to be divvied up amongst all of you equally. Okay, so it's our job to protect your dollars as a community and make good choices.
What's the likelihood of it being a PC pipe?
PVC pipe?
Yeah, what's the likelihood of it being, my house is like one of the oldest, probably one of the oldest, I'll just put it that way. The likelihood of it having an up-to-date pipe is.
Yeah, we have a couple things we can do. One is we'll be looking at it right where we make the connection. We also have the ability to send a camera up. And so, the first 10 feet might be one material, then it may switch, and we have the ability to see that and find out what's going on. It's a specialty camera. It's not a Polaroid or anything like that. It's on a little pushes up and
Yeah. Could you also please explain curb to curb? I understand what it means.
We'll actually show you a picture of what we're gonna do.
Oh, okay.
Could I just ask
Yeah.
a question about the map? Could you go back?
Can you please state your name and address when?
Yes, Dan,
That was Dan.
Diodato,
Thank you.
Diodato. Thank
Yes,
you.
address.
12 Middle Lane.
Thank you.
I'm Elizabeth Burke, 12 Woods Lane. Looking at Woods Lane, they all connect back. Is that the old one or the proposed
This is
one?
the old one. This is
Right.
the old.
So, and in the new one, where are they going to go?
Well,
In the front?
we're gonna show that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh, was it there? Yeah.
So repaving curb to curb, this is a similar job we just did in Maple Court area, where they own the sewers there as well. We did it. So there used to be, like in your neighborhood, there was a drainage swale, right? In here, the concrete drainage swale, that was the same in this neighborhood. So and a small sidewalk. So again, we took out that drainage swale and we put in and the sidewalk and widened the road.
What about the curbing that is there in some of the lanes?
if there's curbing there, we in most cases we would replace the curbing.
Right, because most of it needs to be replaced.
I have a question at this point. So I'm Jeff Peterson, 11 Stevensbrook Lane. So your plan, there's some areas of the road that you're not going to be digging in. And I'm not talking about common.
Yep,
areas.
up around the corner.
At the end of Pine Hill where it meets Route 10, there's a section of that where you're not going to be digging in. And there's also like the curve on Pine Hill Drive where you're not going to be digging there. Are you going to overlay that as well? Okay.
We're looking to give you a complete project.
Okay.
Are you going down to foundation, so you're removing all existing pavement and then starting all over again, or going on top of what's left?
It may be a combination depending upon when we really get in and look at the condition. Couple things we can do. We can go over the top of an existing roadway. Sometimes there's advantages to that. The challenge you have now is you've made the entire roadway 1.5 inches higher, and you have to be careful of how that then corresponds to the drainage, making sure that you don't get puddles where you didn't have puddles before. The other method is milling, like you would see typically in the summertime on the highway where you get that rough surface. We've all driven on that. We love that. That's where they are essentially cutting off 1.5 inches, 2 inches of the existing asphalt. Then you replace it. So you keep that surface elevation the same. The one we're hoping we don't do is where we have to completely reconstruct everything. Because now you're digging up the roadway and it's that much more expensive.
Along with that, if we do have to cut across any driveways, I don't anticipate that, but if we do have to, this is a picture of what we would do. This front section, the front section is where we had to go across the driveway, and we actually found a clean cut, made a clean cut across the driveway, patched the area that we disturbed.
You can see up farther, the driveway, sadly is in poor condition. But again, in fairness to everybody in the project, if we cut across the front of a poor driveway, we can't go all the way to the back and assess every homeowner that cost. But the part that we damaged, we fixed and made better than it was.
I'd just like, this isn't for your, it's for the board.
Yeah.
Information. Eventually, that work is going to have to be done. So I would encourage the board to financially to look at things very carefully. Because after going through this, I'm not paying another assessment.
Mhm.
So you need to save the pennies and cut the costs.
Again, this is a picture of your neighborhood showing the existing sidewalk and the concrete drainage swales on either side. The plan is to eliminate those drainage swales to give a smoother driveway or a smoother roadway and eliminate the sidewalk to widen the road to make it a 20-foot road.
So then you'll be putting curbing along the edge of the road, correct?
Maybe, because
Yes, otherwise
the
you-
curbing, Tom will speak more to this, but we don't like putting curbing in a lot because the curbing creeps, we actually want the water to flow onto the yards to allow for better drainage and natural drainage into yards instead of going to storm drains and flooding rivers. We want more natural drainage onto yards. There are situations where we do have to put curbing back in. Tom knows more about this, not my forte. Tom does, but that's all I know.
Yeah, well, on something like this where the grass is proud, it's higher than the roadway, we would probably have to put curbing in. Similar, and I haven't looked specifically at this neighborhood in at least a month or so, but we would have to make the decision, do you want that sidewalk back or do you want the roadway to go to that width? Generally, what my feeling has been in a neighborhood like yours, hopefully people aren't driving that fast. You can walk on the road just as easily, and it's more beneficial to have, I think, a little bit wider road.
Yeah, definitely. Yes,
Yeah.
Nobody walks on the sidewalk. No, no.
Right.
Well, the places that we do have along South Road, where the woods is,
Yep.
there is no curbing between the road and the woods.
Yep.
There's a grass bank, and gradually that roadway gets broken down because of the plows and because of people parking on the verge on the grass.
Mhm.
And so eventually you damage the roadway that butts up against the grass.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we can take a look at that, but a lot of times if the way you're describing it there, it's the roadway, you're getting what's called sheet flow, where the water from the roadway is now making its way into the grass. It's the other way around.
Away from it, yeah.
We can look at it, but what Tony's point was is where there's areas that have not traditionally had curb, at least in our preliminary plans, we were not going to add new curbing everywhere. We were going to put curbing back where it needed to be. And there's some advantages environmentally to letting the water where it drains down onto grass continue to do that.
Quick question over
Yeah.
on pavement. Are we gonna be looking at this catch basin tops at least while we're doing paving?
To be honest, we're going to try not to get into replacing catch basin tops. This is a little bit like doing work in an old house. We're trying to set limits. So if we do the catch basin top, we're going to do it if we have to do it, but we're going to try not to, quite honestly, because if we get into the catch basin top, now is that catch basin good? Now is that storm drainage good? And we really want to keep this project to sanitary sewers and to the roadway and not get into storm drainage and other things, because it gets very hard to stop once you start. And we want to really be careful about managing the cost.
Are you talking about the medallion shape catch basin in the top? Is that what you're talking about? It's steel.
Okay.
It's heavy. It's old.
The manhole.
If you're talking about manholes,
Well, tell me what you're talking about.
The storm drainage.
Oh,
Here, yeah.
okay.
So water can run down.
Those were replaced not too long ago.
Just the grade.
The grate was, but the perimeter of it or partial was not replaced.
Okay.
Right.
Again, like Tom said, there's a few items that we don't know that There are some underground utilities that we don't know the locations of there. So we may run into some conflicts. Again, it's not gonna, it'll have to make us adjust what we're gonna do with the installation of sewer. We know we don't want to, we want to make sure we're staying clearance away from the water lines. If there's any natural gas, anything like that, we want to make sure that we're away from that. We don't want to be within, but again, if they don't mark them out properly, we just did a similar project up in Woodland Street, and a lot of the water lines, there was 2 water mains there and they kept marking out the wrong water main on us. So.
In our civil engineering 101, which you guys are all gonna get degrees by the end of this. Water lines are great. They're under pressure. So you go down, you come up, no problem at all. Sanitary sewer is all flowing by gravity. So we have to be very careful, because once you go down to go under utility, that whole rest of that line is gonna be deeper because you can't go back up. So it's much trickier to put in sanitary sewers than it is to put in water lines.
And the other thing right now is there's 2 retaining walls. There's on the first row you're going, you got the nice retaining wall that's going up. To actually replace the laterals going in, we're gonna have to tear that retaining wall out
Oh.
and put it back. We're gonna put it back. We're gonna put it back.
I'm not thinking of.
So I know I've already had comments with several homeowners there. But no, and we actually looked at the cost savings of potentially not putting that retaining wall back in, but it would just create too much of a slope on the.
So that's a cost in this project actually to replace that for Ken?
Correct, yes.
So you'd replace the whole,
The
or
whole,
just where the main comes out?
we would probably have to replace the whole thing, just so it's not piecemeal. And the fact that you got the concrete drainage swale on that side as well. So that would be coming out as well. So there's a couple of different aspects, and that retaining wall isn't really in that good of a condition.
Yeah.
So,
But it's been babied and.
but the plan is not to put a solid concrete retaining wall back in. We're gonna put a modular block retaining wall back in, and that will save costs instead of doing full concrete. And again, as you guys know, the cost is all based on the economy. We don't know what it's at right now. We have our estimates at $975,000.
So what happens, I know you still have to put it out to bid. What happens if you're into the project and all of a sudden there's like a big cost surge or something?
Couple things. First thing, when we put it out to bid, we're gonna get pricing. If by chance the bids came back terrible, we're gonna pump the brakes, and we would probably bid it again at a different time.
Okay, so you want to stay away from that 975, you want to give yourself some room.
If the number came in at 975, we would go forward with the project. If it came in at 1.3 million, we would probably say, let's take a deep breath. Let's see if in another 6 months we get a better bidding environment. We've had projects that the WPCA has done in the past. We had one up on Bushy Hill. We bid it in the fall. We got very bad pricing. We waited, we bid it again in the spring, and the pricing was substantially less. And a lot of times it has to do with not just the availability of contractors, how many other projects are out to bid, costs. Right now, one of the things that's hurting us is diesel costs, because everything that the contractor brings runs on diesel. But we're also seeing an improvement in supply chain issues and some of the other things that were driving up the costs the last 2 years. So
How many contractors do you anticipate?
we would normally on something like this get between 3 and 8 typically.
And these would be contractors that the town has used before?
Not necessarily. We would bid this on the town website, and we would also put it out on Department of Administrative Services website. It's called Connecticut DAS. Contractors are familiar with that. The word gets out. Contractors that do this type of work would be made aware of it. We would also sometimes call various contractors, let them know this is out to bid, trying to entice more people and more competition.
In that process, do you vet them before?
We don't vet them before. Once we receive the low bids, you now brought my favorite thing, which is selecting. We don't necessarily always take the low bid. We take the lowest qualified bidder.
Oh.
Cannot underestimate that qualified word enough. So when we do reference checks, we get long pauses when we ask about, how's Dan's contracting ability? And you get a long pause. Now you know to ask a few more questions, and you do a little bit more of our due diligence. And if we have concerns that they're not going to be the right contractor for this job, I have no problem at all going to the second bidder. And I'm going to tell you, as much as you may sit there and say, oh my God, that's costing us more money, 9 out of 10 times it's going to cost you less, because you're not going to be fighting over things you shouldn't fight for. The quality is going to be right the first time. Having a quality contractor is the best investment we can make.
In other words, we're gonna get what we pay for.
That's our job. That's our job. Exactly. I think Woodland Street, we went with the second low bidder. Yeah, I'd say as in terms of the municipality, we are very comfortable doing that.
The picture, the drawing up here now is the proposed design of where the new sewer is gonna go. So like I said, if our plan is to take it out of the front yards, and put it in the middle of the street. Same on the other side. And then again, in those 5 homes where the lines went out the back of the house, obviously we're gonna have to come around the side of the property to connect to where it is, the exits the back of the house to bring it out to the road.
Do you anticipate any of the homes that you're gonna have to change the plumbing in the house?
We will not change any plumbing in the house. That would not be our responsibility. Everything we're gonna do is gonna be outside.
I think the discussion we had earlier is some of the houses on another project, you had to change where the outlet goes.
I can think of it happening once where we had kind of an extraordinary circumstance where instead of going all the way around, we would have trouble meeting grade. We did a cost benefit analysis, but generally speaking, that would be a very rare case that we would do that. It's possible, but it would have to be very much economical in our favor to do it. Once you get into the house again, we want to make sure that we can control costs, and it's difficult with making sure that, you know, a basement is restored properly.
Yeah, and all the homes, I believe, most of the homes, those 5 homes, the line actually exits through the floor. And so it doesn't go through the wall. So you still have to go, unless you're gonna drastically change the plumbing inside the house. You would still, it's more beneficial to go out the back or go out where it exists now. I'm sure Tom told you guys last time, this is a revolving fund. The assessments, when you pay your assessment back, it just refunds this project so we can go do other projects in the future. So it's just a continuously moving fund. And we try to maintain it at a certain level. We depleted it over the last few years with a couple of projects that we've done, but we try to maintain it at a certain level so if anyone comes in and asks for us to do projects, we have enough money so we don't have to say no.
And good or bad, it's the way it is nothing is assessed until the project is done, and then it would be the next November.
The November after, yeah. So if this project is done, if we finish this project, say in October, the first bill wouldn't be till next November, the November after we're done. So you'll have free use of the sewers for a year.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Not free use. You still have to pay your sewer use fee, but you wouldn't have to pay the assessment.
So
Deferrals, like
Yes.
buying furniture.
Yeah, that's it.
So talking about, you mentioned October, what do you anticipate the start date, the month and completion?
The design, well, after this meeting, if the board, if the WPCA board approves the project, we'll get right into design. And the design will probably take 2.5 months, 3 months probably for design. And then we put it out to bid after that. So probably we put it out to bid probably in best case scenario, July timeframe, best case. Which then the project would probably start in August. And my guess would be 3 to 4 months for the whole project to be done.
Maybe we would be done for Christmas.
And you can do all the digging even though the ground is frozen or it's
Yes.
snowing.
Yeah, the only thing that runs into a problem is paving, and we're not gonna dig up a road that we can't repave for the winter time.
When do the asphalt plants typically close, or is it weather related?
They watch the weather, and they also watch what's going on construction wise, because they're in business.
They open in April again? roughly?
Yeah, in April, and there's actually one facility that's open every Wednesday through the winter, and it's become less of a challenge than it was just 5 or 6 years ago, but typically they'd be closing December 15th, give or take.
You mentioned, water commission approval. When is that gonna happen? I thought that they had approved it already. I
No.
thought
They
that's
have to
why,
go, yeah.
who's voting?
The board.
Oh, okay, thank you. Got it, all right.
As we discussed, the estimate at this point in time, is $975,000 for the whole project. And basically it comes down to $135 a month. And right now, and the interest rate is all projected on whatever the town bond rate is. And as Tom, last, that hasn't been updated yet for this year, the last rate was 1.8%. Talking to the finance director in the town, other towns are getting rates at 4% right now for bond rate. So that would be the interest rate you'd be charged.
If you choose to
If you
finance
choose
it
to
through
finance it
us.
through us. Which you don't have to do. You guys can finance it however you want, but if you want to finance it through us, that's.
Cash, whatever's easiest.
Sure, right, check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Tom, and again, as Tom said, it's gonna disrupt we're gonna do one road at a time. We're not gonna jump from road to road, things like that. But we'll always make sure that you always have access to your house. We'll notify you guys, when we're tying in your line to your house. So you say, hey, it helps our contractors out too. Say, hey, please don't use your bathroom for the next hour. It's not gonna be, you're not gonna be without sanitary sewer for 3 days. It'll be an hour, 2 hours while they're doing a connection.
Would you pave each road as you complete the work on that road, or would you wait till the end and then pave?
They would definitely do some sort of temporary pavement probably, but again, it would be up to the contract. It's all, and again, weather dependent. It's more cost effective for them to go in and pave the whole thing at one time instead of just doing one at a time. So
Typically, we would leave the roads stone, or at least the trench would be stone during the week, and you would potentially just button it up on Fridays with a temporary pavement. Again, with the low traffic in this neighborhood, it may be a place that we could save a little bit of money. And depending upon the contractor and the weather patterns that we're having and when the work takes place, if we could leave the trenches just with compacted stone for a longer period of time, that may help manage some of the costs.
In determining which lane gets done first, are you going to think about the magnitude of the project before each lane, or you haven't thought about that?
So once we come in to do the final pavement, there's two kinds of pavement. We dug a trench and we put in temporary pavement just to make sure that area that was dug up has asphalt. Okay. Typically, we would want to leave that for several months before we do the permanent final pavement. That way, any of the soil that wasn't compacted properly or may move or shift has done that. So any settlements have occurred. When they do come in to do the final pave, it's probably going to be almost all of the neighborhood all at once. And they're basically going to go up one side of the street and come back the other side. And they'll have the rollers and the compactors, and it'll be a good day.
That'll be a better job and a better price.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then also we will before we even start the project, I'll go out there, or somebody from my staff will go out there. We're gonna take pictures of everybody's properties. We're gonna take videos of everybody's properties, of the lawns, so we can put everything back to the way it is now. You know, we're not gonna leave you with something that you didn't have before. We're gonna leave it in as good or better condition than you have
You
now.
find gold or oil, we are splitting it.
I'm glad you're giving us at least a cut.
It's only fair.
Yeah.
But when we do reseed the lawns and stuff like that, we do ask that you water the grass so it grows. Just so we don't have to come back 5 times to plant more grass.
Do we do that? We don't just seed it once and if it doesn't grow, it's up to them?
Yeah, that may have been a challenge on one of the projects.
Yeah, we've had a challenge with that a couple of times just recently. And as we said, the hope is if this project is approved by the Water Pollution Control Authority, that we'll start construction late summer, early fall this year. And we'll finish where we started off. If there's any other questions.
I have some questions that our property manager wanted to make sure I ask. One is that you will thoroughly outline all the steps going forward for everyone. To make that clear, that everyone will know step by step, everything that's going to be done and when it's going to be done, you're going to take care of all that.
What we did when we were doing the neighborhood that was most similar is, I believe we were sending out at least one email a day, sometimes 2 emails a day, saying, this is what's going on today, this is what's going on tomorrow,
Yeah.
you can park here, not there.
Okay.
It's a delicate dance.
And you're
Yeah,
gonna-
and we try not to inundate everybody with emails. So if we're working on one street, we're gonna send emails to people on that street. So people that are on South Road aren't getting affected by the people that, when we're working on Pine Hill, because it doesn't matter to them, you know, so
Okay.
and vice versa.
So all homeowners will get that information. Start date and end date, we just talked about. And for any questions that occur, the Pine Hill board members are not to be approached or spoken to. Any questions go to you guys.
Go to me,
Okay, so to you.
to me.
Okay, that was the question, was Tom or Tony?
It would go
So
to me.
it goes to you, Tony.
Yes.
Okay, and, and do you have a specific number that's just yours that,
Just a phone number? No, it's just a direct line
just
here.
direct line here?
I'll give you
Okay.
his home number later.
Okay, fine. Sounds good. And
His
there was
voicemail's full.
one other, what's the size of the pipes? Is it 6 inch or is it 8 inch?
Exist, the new ones,
The new ones
the
are
new one in the street will be 8 inch.
8 inches.
And then the laterals going, will be a 6 inch lateral going to the existing pipe, which
Okay.
may be 4 inch, so it may transition. Come leaving your house right now is 4, it'll transition to 6, then to the 8 inch pipe.
Okay, and all the clay pipes will be gone, so there won't be any more clay pipes there.
For the
Clay
main
pipe-
line sewer, yes.
To the main line sewer, but,
There may be laterals that are still clay pipe. Clay pipe is a good pipe. It was good. It lasts for a long time. As long as you don't disturb it. Once you disturb it, there's problems with it.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't disturb clay pipe, and again, like Tom said, we're gonna look at the pipes. We're gonna put a camera in and we're gonna see the condition of the pipe. If we see that the clay pipes are cracked, or if there's roots in them, we're gonna clean the roots out of them for you to help that. But we wanna make sure we're giving you guys a good product.
Yeah,
There are roots in the pipe and there's holes in the pipe. And
Usually the roots end up in the joints of the pipe, and the roots will end up in PVC pipe as well. There's not any difference.
doesn't removing them create other problems?
No, what all we're gonna do is cut them out. They'll still be there, but if we cut them out, but if we see those situations, we're gonna tell the homeowner, this is what you can do to prevent them from growing back.
Okay.
You know, we're not just gonna say, like, there's a root control foam that you can put into the sewer line that will kill the roots, and and you just apply it every couple of years. You know, so it's not like, and it's a low cost item.
that's built into the figure, correct?
Which part?
If the clay pipes are damaged,
Yes,
it's built in.
yes.
Okay.
Replacing the laterals is part of this project, yes.
that's all I had for.
Yeah, when do we get the John Oakes, 3 Woods Lane?
Oh,
When do we get the an agreement with the town with the loan? When do we get that information?
That would be after the entire project is done.
After it's all done, then we get,
Yeah, that's because until then, we don't know the exact dollar.
okay.
And there'll be another public hearing for that, an assessment hearing, where you guys can,
all coming in.
you'll all come in.
Ah, you can
You'll all come
say
again
no.
and say, we hate the assessment, no. But say, you'll say, tell Tom, great job, you came in under budget and we're good.
I brought my coupon.
I'm Catherine Gelino, Gelineau, 5 Middle Lane.
All right. Do we have any other questions?
No.
I'm just sort of keeping track of things for the board as far as secretarial, and I'm not sure who the people are that have zoomed in. I want to be able to just say who they were in my paperwork. Are they town councilmen or are they part of your
They're
board?
members of the WPCA board.
Members of the board here. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you guys for coming in for this.
A motley crew.
A motley crew indeed.
All right. So are we ready to conclude the hearing?
Before we do, just Jay Sheehan for for the authority. Just one question. Is there anyone in the crowd that's opposed to the project?
I didn't say opposed to the
Yes.
project. Anyone here opposed
That's
to the
right.
project?
No.
No.
You have the people in opposition tied up somewhere? or-
Yes.
We already voted as an
Okay.
association.
Yes.
We already-
Okay, so you have the full majority
We do.
support.
Yes, yes.
We had a quorum and we, and it
Quorum.
was passed.
No,
Okay.
Twice.
I'm not in opposition. However, we've asked the question many times about people who are having a difficult time during this period in history. And if a miracle could occur, that would be, or a partial miracle, that would be wonderful. But we've been to the town many times. When the infrastructure information came out, we looked at it carefully, and we could have qualified if we had an adequate council and were able to pay for it.
Oh, no.
I'm not getting into it, I just said it, and this is a hearing, and it needs to be heard.
Okay. Anybody else wish to be heard?
I thank you.
So, anyone want to move to close the hearing?
So moved, Jay Sheehan.
Any second?
Second, Michael.
All right. The hearing is now closed. Discussion, board members? Anyone care to discuss?
No.
No? We're all ready to put it to a vote?
Yep.
All
Yes,
right,
sir.
I'm ready to receive a motion if somebody wants to move that we proceed with the sewer upgrade in the Pine Hill Homeowners Association and 553 Hot Meadow Street as presented.
Jay Sheehan, so moved.
Anyone second?
Second, Jacques.
All right. All in favor, raise your hand and also say audibly.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? It's unanimous. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, Tony, go build it.
All right. Now you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but I'll understand if you want to make your way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you again.
All right.
I live on the new farm, 39. Their courthouse.
Yeah.
But that's all new.
Good seeing you.
There were 2 storm drains there.
Good seeing you guys.
Yeah, we talked about that. We have to replace-
Well, what happened is the soil around it collapsed, and then the smoke piles.
There was sprinkler runs, it's all ancient. Maybe not.
Yeah, and the sewers there are actually more, relatively new, but they were installed incorrectly.
Yeah, I know, because I have a dog I walk at night in the summertime.
Well, I know, but good.
I'll make corrections. You made them.
Yeah.
We're done.
Thanks.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so I'll
So I'll
send.
run, take another look at it while we're doing this. Thank you.
So, item 3 on the agenda.
Thank you very much.
Give my love to
Yeah.
Mary.
It'll be interesting whether.
Thank you, guys. All right, thank you. Take care. Sewer use fees for fiscal year 23-24. Discussion and possibly set public hearing date.
Okay, we'll see ya.
there's a post, I don't know if it's.
Thank you, Mr. Gilmore.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's what we would have to look at.
All right. thanks.
Thank you.
Apologize for not planning to tell you. Thank you so much.
No trouble at all.
I work for Avon Public Works for I did a whole career.
Do you know Mike Shea? My uncle. Is he really? Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, it's a small world.
Now I work for FEMA, I work for Public Works or Public Assistance.
Oh, it's interesting.
Okay.
We like females.
You got a presentation or something that?
No, I just, yeah, I got to,
All right, thank you.
I gotta open up my next document.
Okay.
See, Don, we're all on the same side of the table, Paul.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had a group where we've had more meetings with them.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever gotten a round of applause either. That was pretty great.
Twice.
Alice
So
was there last time.
good job pitching it to them, guys. Whatever you said to them, they were clearly happy about it.
There we go.
All right, so basically, for the sewer use fee, it comes down to whether or not to increase it by 4% to, I believe you mean $375 and not $475.
I did. I wrote it incorrectly.
Because
475 would put us in
I
other
was not a
towns.
math major, but I did study finance, so I know the little numbers. And so, yeah, I knew that was off. So, you know, looking like, you know, if we're going to be in a situation that if we don't increase this, we're going to be putting ourselves a little bit skinny on where we want to be with our reserve fund. And given that we haven't raised the fees for several years, and we're only talking about going up 4% over the course of several years, since we last moved them, I think that's, you know, a very reasonable increase myself. So, you know, I like to be fiscally prudent, and I don't find anything objectionable myself about a 4% increase. So I'm kind of in favor of it, but I'm going to want to read the virtual room and see what you all are thinking.
Just if you guys see on the screen, I shared our financial model that we do. This is without any increase for the next 5 years. And the important numbers are down here at the bottom. And as you can see, based on all the capital projects that we're going at, our reserve fund would be down to just over $2 million in 4 more years. And that's without the fact our permit is getting renewed next February, or runs out next February. So it is anybody's guess what the state is going to do now with new requirements on us, because they're all over the place right now with changes to everybody's permits. Right, Jay?
Totally agree. And with PFAS and biosolids and all the things that are getting a little weird in the industry, it's going to be, it's just a prudent time. I agree with Paul to have a modest increase and stay ahead of the trends that we're seeing.
Okay.
So
Anybody
what will
else?
be the situation, the numbers, if we increase it by 4%?
Yep, I'm going to bring that up right now. And with 4%, same situations, we'll be at 3 million in 5 years or 4 years. So we're $1 million more with just that 4% increase.
And what we had talked about is, do we do 4% this year, and in 2 years' time, it may be that we do another small increase depending upon what some of our capital costs are.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
What's the smallest reserve we've ever carried, or as far back as anyone can remember? Do we know that?
Since I've been here, the lowest it was at 4 million.
4 has been the lowest.
Yeah. This $7 million that we're starting with right now, that's actually the reserve and the assessment fund. That's both of them put together. So both of them would be down to $2 million in 4 years.
And do you know what the biggest dip we've ever had to take into the reserve fund has been on any given year?
This year,
It was
$2.5 million.
okay.
because that includes the primary clarifier rehab and the, this project for, Pine Hill.
So in other words, if we don't change anything and we have another repeat year, we'll have 0 left in the reserves.
Correct.
Anybody else wish to be heard? Does anyone think we should raise it more than 4%?
Well, maybe we'd go 4% as and increase it again, as Tom said, maybe in a couple of years. Another small increase.
Full disclosure, Tony and I talked about, should it be 375 or 380? 375 came out to be an even 4%. Seems to be a very reasonable increase with, you know, financial pressures everybody's under.
Yep.
And certainly you have the ability to raise it even next year if we needed to.
Right. Okay.
Seems fair.
So is everyone?
Do we need a public hearing on this?
Yes,
We do.
As it
So-
says in the agenda? Yeah.
So what I would be looking for,
before we go with that one, I gotta share another screen.
oh,
Now.
you do? We need to hear more about this?
Well, we need to hear more about if you guys want to change any other fees.
Okay.
This one here.
Because the analysis was only on these 2 fees, right?
Well, those were the 2 big ones. So these are the existing fees as we have them right now. In the years they were changed. Obviously the 2 we're looking at changing are these residential and non-residential sewer use fees. I think everything else is still pretty much in line. Septic dumping. I did an analysis of everyone in the area and we're within $5 of pretty much everybody else for septic fees. The only one that I'm gonna run past you guys, and it's not a big ticket item, but I think it may be a prudent thing to do, is currently we allow RVs to dump for free if they're a resident in town or in Avon, Granby, or Simsbury. Most other towns allow or have them pay a $10 a year fee. And a very nominal fee, but at least it's something for them disposing of their waste here. That would be my recommendation, to create a fee for RVs to dump in town.
How much does it cost to fill up a tank of gas for an RV?
So whether it's, you know, a $25 annual fee to
That's
dump.
what I'm thinking.
I'm almost gonna say $25 every time you dump.
Or $25 every time you dump. I mean, that's up to you, whether it's most other towns do an annual fee, but it's whatever you guys want to do, but my recommendation would definitely to have it for RVs to.
Yeah, I'm in favor of doing that.
How many RVs dump per day, per year, per week, per month? And are they repeat people or are they more independent, like one time? And you know, what's that look like?
It's a lot of it is repeat people that come in. You know, quantity wise, probably all summer long. You know, or maybe we're gonna get 50 RVs all summer long, maybe. So it's not a high ticket item, but it's definitely enough to recoup our costs for what they're dumping.
Okay. Anyone have thoughts about the dollar amount?
Maybe considering it's a lot of repeat customers, we do like a one-time annual fee. I don't know.
I'm fine with that. Like kind of like Payne's does for the dump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So what do you think? You're thinking a $25 annual fee? More?
I don't know.
Tom's doing thumbs up, St. Paul. That's not enough.
I
don't yet.
You got to process it. You know, you got to show them where to go. There's a little bit of, you know,
All right, how much do you want to charge? 50?
Yeah.
50 a year seems about right. What do you think, Tony?
That would be more than what I was expecting.
Anybody have any hiccup with a $50 a year annual fee to dump for the RVs?
Oh, I'd like to maybe have it be in line with, similar services nearby. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. Do we know what they charge?
I did start taking a look at them. I can get it for next month. We don't have to, we're gonna have a public hearing, so we don't have to we can come up with a strategy and tell you guys what the number should be. And we can.
Tony,
decide
that'd be great. If you could come up with just show us the septage, which I know we're in alignment with, show us the routine annual costs for most neighboring communities, and then show us the RV. That would be terrific.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have most of that already, so.
Okay. Are we now ready for me to solicit a motion to set a public hearing regarding the sewer use fees for fiscal year 23-24 for the WPCA meeting on April 13th, 2023?
So moved, Jay Sheehan.
Any second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing no one wanting to have further discussion, let's put her to a vote. All in favor, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Number 4 on the agenda, status report on sewer extension projects, Tony.
The only update is on Eagle Lane. We're processing the final bill for that. So for next meeting, we should have the total number for that paid out, or what we're gonna pay out for that project. And then we'll be able to set an assessment hearing for that project. We did video the line, everything looks good. We informed the home, the only thing we still gotta do is go back and do a little bit of lawn touch up. But other than that, that project is completed. And the town is planning on paving that road this year.
Okay. All right. So that's good. Treatment facility report.
Still doing well. We did with the fun temperature that we've been dealing with all winter long. We had a little the operators have been dealing with a nuisance foaming on our secondary clarifiers. Not really affecting anything, but just a real nuisance. We bought a new chemical metering system for our scrubbers odor control system, which will be up and running in the next couple of days, hopefully. And that basically replacing some older pumps and all the valves get eaten up by the chemicals. Sewer lining, granite inliner is scheduled to be back in next week to finish up over Wood Deck Lane area in Terriffill and a couple of small spots on Hot Meadow Street and Weston and Sampson is working on the primary clarifier analysis. They gave us 2 estimates at this point in time. The initial one, the easy, cheap, just to stabilize the primary clarifiers, they're expecting $120,000, which is basically just putting a couple of steel beams across the top to stabilize it. Nothing else really. We're talking to Tom. The most benefit is going to be doing the expensive fix, which gets into repairing all the spalling of the concrete, putting in steel beams, putting a concrete deck on top of the clarifiers, which will help with odor controls when we have to put the clarifier back in service. So that's what they're working on that for us to get finalize more costs and come up with a bid specification for that project.
All right.
PLCs, the remaining 2 PLCs are scheduled to be replaced next week. And that's it.
Great. Thank you. Anyone have questions or remarks about the treatment facility report? Hearing none, we'll move to item 6, correspondence. I noticed when I spoke with Tony, that the letter that went out to the Belden forest folk needs to be corrected to reflect the basis upon which we made the decision. And so I think that's really the only piece of correspondence we had, right? Other than the notice that went out to the homeowners who were here. No other items of correspondence, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. That takes us to February 7 meeting minutes and possible approval. Has everyone had a chance to review the meeting minutes?
Yeah.
Anyone want to remark on the very fine job Allison did?
Just a fine job.
All right, so are we ready to put it to a vote? Anyone want to move to accept the meetings as stated?
I'll move.
Anyone second?
Second.
Any
Sure.
discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's put it to a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye. Aye.
I'm
No
abstaining.
nays, one abstention, the motion carries. That takes us to the last, thank you. That takes us to the last item, which is adjournment. Does anyone wish to debate whether we should adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Anyone second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Hope you all are well. Springtime's just around the way, just around the
Right.
corner.
Springing forward this weekend.
That's absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good to see you all.